Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicole and this is Dusty Book Sniffers, and today we are here for a reading vlog. It's a weekend reading vlog for the KU and Kindle mini 48-hour readathon. So let's get started. So thank you for taking some time out of your day and watching this video. I really do appreciate it. So you might be wondering what the KU and Kindle mini readathon is. Over on a Patreon, every second month we do this, and this is a way to get us into some reading that we otherwise forget about, and which is generally our Kindle Unlimited or our Kindles, because we focus on our audio shelf, or we focus on our physical shelf. For whatever reason, we tend to neglect it. So we're doing every second month we're doing a 48-hour readathon, and basically, as the title suggests, we're going to do the mayhem and we're going to read as much as we can. So we do have a bingo board and everything for that, and I'm just going to talk about the books that I have read and whatnot. And if you're interested in joining with our readathons or anything like that, check out the link out down below, and then that way you can come across and join, and basically you will get to join in the fun as well. We have a Discord where we chit chat about the books that we're reading, and of course we also have sprints. So of course this readathon is set in Australian Eastern Standard Time, and it starts at 6 p.m. on Friday and finishes at 6 p.m. on Sunday, which is in my time zone. So that would be starting pretty early in the morning for EST, and for other regions as well. I think it's in the afternoon for Europe and the UK. So there is plenty of opportunity for you to join. Now we do sprints, and we do 12-hour sprints. I start at 9 a.m. On the Saturday, and I do exactly the same thing on the Sunday, and we go to 9 p.m. that night. And basically we'll do, hour sprints, 90-minute sprints, whatever the case may be. So I have a bingo board this time that I've put into the Discord, and if you're already part of it, you already know what it is, and it has 9 prompts on it. Some of the prompts are like, read a shift of romance or mood read and stuff like that. So we only have 9, and it's a really good opportunity to get to some of those short books or even short novels that I've got, that I always have on my KU. So that is sort of what we're going to do. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to read is a graphic novel. It is called I Will Train You. I don't know what it's going to be about or anything like that. I've tried not to read the synopsis. I've sort of gone off the title and I've gone off the cover because I really don't know much about manga. So I'm just going to dive in and see where I end up. This one looks like it's a little bit spicy by the cover, as you can see. So I will get back to you once I've read it. So yeah, and I'll let you know all about it. Okay, so I have finished my first book. It was only like 60 pages. And it's sort of, I've given it 2 stars because it's sort of ended abruptly. So it makes you have to read the next volume of it. Now there are a few volumes. These are all on KU, and it's a TL manga. So I did not know what that was. So that means that it is a teenage lover. It's geared towards teenage lovers, and so from my understanding, that's what I sort of went and looked, and it's what came up. So that's apparently what it stands for. As I said, I'm very new to manga, so it's a great opportunity to try things that you're not used to or anything like that. I mean, for the most part, it was okay. Like, the story flowed well. I mean, I was reading it on my Kindle, so it wasn't in color or anything. And I'm going to look it up on my tablet and see if it's a little bit better. And yeah, so basically it was, it was okay, but it ended very abruptly, so it makes me want to pick up the next one. I'm not going to pick up the next one this weekend unless I've got time. They're only very short. I did go and have a look at that, and I didn't read the synopsis because I wanted to go into this blind, as I said a little bit earlier. So for the most part, I enjoyed it. I'd like to know where the story's going to go, because it feels like I've just had a taste test of it. So I can see the appeal for people wanting to read manga and how quick they read, because I mean, essentially it's a comic, what I would class as a comic. So that was done and dusted. So I've already, within 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I'd finished a book, and so I have ticked off one of mine, which was to read a graphic novel or a manga. So I've done that. Now I have a series to add onto my series sheet, so I will add that on there, and then I will get back to it. It's on KU, so it's not going to cost me anything, and I just don't know if I'm into manga yet or not. So I'm thinking that, Leandra and Brittany and Brie and a few other people have given recommendations for Spy Family and the Cat one that they just recently read. So I'm thinking that if I sort of like the flow of this after I've read a few more on KU, I might look at investing in my Kindle editions of it. They're just far too expensive here. Like, I've priced them. There's been a couple of mangas that I thought would have a really lovely story that people have talked about and I'd wanted to read, but they were $60. And that's just far too expensive for me. So I'm looking at Kindle to read these. My local library doesn't have much either. Like, it's very juvenile stuff. Doesn't have a lot of older stuff. So that's why I thought, you know what, I'll see what's on KU, and then that way I can start experiencing, because I'm getting a little bit of FOMO. Like, everybody's reading these mangas and how much they love them and how cute they are and all this sort of stuff, and I'm getting FOMO. So that's where we're at with that one. So I chose not to do a graphic novel with this one. All right, so since I finished that book, I have started sprints and I'm hanging out with Neva, and we are going to be reading Unhinged. Now, this is by Vera Valentine. I've got the audiobook with this. I wanted to go the whole experience on this one because I had heard that there are sound effects and stuff like that with the audiobook. So I wanted in, it cost me $3 for the audiobook. I'm happy to do that. And I got the book for free. So it's cost me $3 for this book. So I'm pretty excited to read this. It is a smutty book, and it is door smut. If you've been around on sprints and stuff like that, you already know what this is about and all that sort of stuff. But yes, it is essentially, it is a shift of romance because apparently the door shifts, and it is a smutty book to boot, and the audio has sound effects. So I'm going to go off and read that. It's only got 71 pages in it. As I said, this is a really good time to read shorter books and all that sort of stuff. So it has 71 pages in it. I'm going to go off and read that and see what it's all about, and I'll come back and let you know. I have heard it's very funny, it's very witty, there's banter and all that sort of stuff. So I will come back with my star rating. Oh, and I didn't give you my star rating for the manga either. I only gave that 2 stars because I just felt like it was very abrupt how it ended, and it really didn't give me much in that first part. So that's sort of where I'm at in that. All right, I'm going to head off. I'm going to read Unhinged. It's probably only going to take me about half an hour to read it, so I will be back very, very soon. I'm just going to leave my camera set up here today, and basically I'm just going to pop in and out as I'm reading the books and all the things. All right, I'm going to head off and read that with Neva, and we'll probably end up doing a little bit of discussion of it, but yes, we will be back, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, so we have done our first sprint. We've done an hour sprint, and as expected, I actually did finish that within, like, I think it was 45 minutes. Now, Unhinged is great. Like, the audiobook is top notch. The book is funny. It is witty. There is some banter, and I was so shocked. It also has plot. So who doesn't love a smart book with plot, right? So this, and also if you as I said on sprints, if you are in a readathon and you need to read something that has Greek mythology in it, then this has it, because we have Hera, Zeus gets a mention, and Hades also gets a mention as well. So yeah, so you could always use that. It'd probably be, people will argue the point, but take it from me, those characters are in there. Okay, so basically we have Tanner, and she is living in an apartment, and there is a Russell, what's his name, I think he was a really creepy landlord in this book, and then we have the door, which eventually his name is Dryce, and so he is a dryad, and basically he has been in this door, and he's been watching Tanner for quite some time, so he knows when, you know, she's moody, upset, or happy, or all these things. He knows her life inside out because he's protected her all this time. Subsequently, his father, who turns up, basically I forget his father's name, but turns up, tells him that he needs to have relations with Tanner in order to shift into a human form. And so he basically, and he has one night to do this, so to convince her to have a relationship with him. And so so basically he lands in her dream as in human form and tells her what she needs to do, and then she basically takes it upon herself to have sex with her door. Okay, with her front door nonetheless. And so basically, all the while we have this landlord that has done something to the previous tenant and is now trying to do stuff to her. And I really love this part in the book. I love that Vera Valentine actually put this in about chihuahuas, because one of the neighbors has a chihuahua, and the line is that the hellhound, and I would have to agree with that, because the only dog I've ever been attacked by has been a chihuahua, and they are the hounds of hell. So yeah, but the banter in this was really good. Now let me just talk about the audio. There are sound effects in the audio, and when she has her first relations with the door, yeah, there are sound effects for that, and it just cracked me up. There are many lines in this that had me just absolutely giggling. It was so funny. I had the best time reading this. The audio was top notch. Because there's two narrators, so we get her voice when she's talking, so we get the banter backwards and forwards, which makes it a lot better. So you're not just having the guy read to you and whatnot, and and then there's a whole thing that plays out, and it's just a fun time. So if you're looking for a really good fun time, trying to get out of a slump or anything like that, read this book. It's going to do it for you. Okay, and I have actually given it 4 stars, which I'm really happy about. So I had a fun time. So it was a great way to start the sprints off. And yeah, so now I have a few other books that I've got lined up. And one of them is Grim and Bear It. So this is a little bit bigger. I have these in physical copy because I just love Juliet Cross's writing. This is from the Wolf Gone Wild series, or this is actually the Stay Spell series. And the first book is Wolf Gone Wild. Now, if you've been on any readathons where I've been co-hosting, I've probably I think for 2 of them I recommended Wolf Gone Wild. They're just laugh out loud rom-coms with a shifter, and some of them are shifter, but the main females are all witches. So yeah, so this one is following Clara, and I'm pretty sure it's Clara is her name. Yeah, Clara. And a Grim is someone that can knows everything that the supernaturals are doing and all that sort of stuff. So I think this is going to be a 5-star for me, because all the other books that I've read in the series, and I believe this is the last one in the series. So all the books in the series for me have been 4.5 stars, and I think I've even done a 5-star as well. I'd have to go back on Goodreads. So yeah, so I am going to read this one, and next I might end up doing a small one just to move it along a little bit better. Anyway, I'll play by ear. It doesn't have a lot of pages. There's only 350 pages in this one, and they go pretty quick. So when I sit down with my breakfast, I will make my decision then, but I'm thinking I'm going to go with this one because I'm pretty excited to read this one. All right, I'm going to head off, and when I'm finished it, I'll come back. I'll probably do a check-in, let you know how I'm feeling about it and all the rest of it. But if you've been around for a while, you know that I've read all these, and every time I just have a great time. All right, I'm going to head off. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you in the next clip. Hi, everybody, and welcome back. All right, so I'm here to check in for Grim and Bear It. I do have this on Kindle Unlimited, and I also have the audio for this as well. So the reason that I get them on Kindle, first I should explain why I have these books when they're available on Kindle Unlimited. Back in the day, like I'm sounding like I'm 100 years old. But anyway, a couple of years ago, I read Wolf Gone Wild. You can probably just see them behind me. They're just in that, just that section, just there. Okay, I read Wolf Gone Wild, and I thoroughly enjoyed that book. And then I read the second book and really enjoyed that book as well. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to support this indie author, and I'm going to buy their books. And so basically, I paid $32 for each of these books, but they're absolutely gorgeous. Like, this one's got all the little elements on it and all the rest of it. So just to tell you a little bit more about this series, it is the Stay Spell series, and it is about a group of witches who are all sisters. They own a bar. I think it's set in New Orleans, and I'm pretty sure it is. And it's and there are different aspects to their witchery. So Clara, who is in this one, she is an aura, and basically her emotions can control the weather. So if she's really upset, it will rain and rain and rain, which apparently is a problem for New Orleans because it's built below sea level, I believe. And, well, that's what they say in this book anyway. Each of the books, you can read them on their own, but I have read them all in order. And basically, but you could read, like, now that I've read, like, I'm reading them all, you could read them out of order. They sort of mention sisters and stuff from, like, and throughout the book, but the main focus is on Clara and her love interest in this one. And it's the same for the other books as well. It'll be whatever sister it is, and then their love interest. So the first one, it was a slow burn romance. There's an enemies to lovers. There's second chance romance, and this one here is a grumpy sunshine romance. So Clara is obviously sunshine, and the Grim, who is Henry, is the grumpy one, but he is grumpy for a reason. Anyway, I'm up to chapter 13, and I think that they're, like, I'm about 30%, 40% through now, but I thought I'd check in. So, I didn't really, like, we know about the Grims from the other books, and they are, like, the supernatural guards sort of thing. They keep all the supernaturals in check, especially the vampires, because, let's face it, vampires can get unruly, so they always keep a check on them and all that sort of stuff. And they're heavily into technology, but they're also necromancers as well. There are some more powerful than others, and basically Henry is quite a powerful one, but he has a lot of trauma around his magic, and he doesn't like to unlock his magic, and basically he doesn't like to be around people either. He's very withdrawn and all that sort of stuff, and Clara is pretty sure that he has the hots for her, and basically doesn't know why he hasn't asked her out on a date. And subsequently, that's what we're finding out right now. So they have actually, pretty early on in the book, she's just decided that she's taking matters into her own hands, and she is going to approach him, and yeah, and it goes on from there. But what I actually really love about this story, this is for all the bookish peeps out there. Henry has a library that is huge, and it has a ladder in it, and he takes Clara there, and they have a pretty hot and heavy steamy scene in the library, which is like, oh my goodness, who wouldn't want to do that in a library? But anyway, and she's just, and because she's an aura, she can push feelings into people. So if someone's feeling really sad, she can push happiness into them to help them get past it and all that sort of stuff. But as I said, she also controls the weather with her emotions. So there's a situation, and so she's approached Henry to come, so she can get close to him, to come and join her book club. And so, and it's a romance book club, and he is always commenting after they've discussed the book and all that sort of stuff on her blog. And so she wanted him to come to the book club, so he wasn't commenting after the fact, he could join the discussion. And that's how she got to be close to him, and how subsequently they've ended up going on a couple of dates so far. So there is a little bit of talk about his magic and the trauma that he endured when he was younger by a not so nice necromancer, because and it gives you the folklore behind the Grimm and how they came to be and all that sort of stuff, and what their powers are and what they can do and all that sort of stuff. So if you've never read about a Grimm or anything before, then this will give you a pretty good overlay of what they're about and whatnot. And so subsequently we're learning about him, but I think we're also going to be learning about Clara. We haven't touched on it yet, but he actually asked her, have you ever tried to control the weather? So he knows a lot about supernaturals and stuff like that. So we're getting a really good backstory. I have to say, like, as much as I love A Wolf Gone Wild, I'm actually really liking this one. I think mainly because it has a bookish undertone to it. Like, there's been a mention of a book series in here that I was able to get as a free audio, which is, I think it's Edith Bradford or something, and it's a Highlander series. So there's 4 in the series, so I'm going to check that out because it was mentioned in this. So I'm going to actually check it out. So when I went looking for it, it was actually a free audiobook. So I'm like, sweet, I'll just add that to my library. So I'll probably have a bit of a look at that in the coming weeks, maybe even while I'm on the cruise. I'll download it, so I've got it for when I'm on the cruise. So as I said, I still have a fair way to go. I will say though, the audiobook is off with the chapters. So right now it says I'm on chapter 12, when in actual fact I'm on chapter 13, and the same as the Kindle book is on chapter 13 as well. But the audiobook says I'm on chapter 12, and it doesn't match up because I'm immersive reading this. It's my favorite way to read. I love reading like that because, you know, I can quickly go back and I can cover what I might have missed and all that sort of stuff without having to scan the text to go back. And I can quickly listen to it, but keep my finger where I was at, or my bookmark and whatnot. So it is one of my favorite ways to read, and I'm so glad that I picked this up today because I have been putting off reading this. I still have the Witchy Wonderland anthology to read, which I believe has a story from a Christmas story surrounding each of the sisters, and you know, there are mentions of the sisters and everything like that, but you know that they're married to whoever, or they're with such and such, or they've got kids or whatever. You know that because you get told that along the way. So you don't necessarily have to read them in order, but I highly recommend that you do. All right, I'm going to continue reading on with this, and I'll let you know where it goes because I'm really keen. Like, Clara has been in a lot of the books because she's a sister that helps a lot of people with their feelings and stuff. So I'm really, and I've been waiting for Clara's story because I just wanted to see. She's such a beautifully bright, bubbly little witchy, and I just love her to death. Like, she's just so vibrant. Even on the pages she comes across as so vibrant, and Henry, he's adorable. The things that he's gone through and whatnot, it just makes him even more adorable. And there was one section that I just read then and I'm like, oh. So I'm looking forward to reading more of it. I'm going to head off now and keep going with this. I will check in when I'm finished and give you my final thoughts, but right now this is definitely sitting at a 5-star read. So I was correct in saying that this was a 5-star prediction. So yeah, I mean, it'd have to dramatically change for me to bring it down, but right now it's sitting at about a 5-star read. All right, I'm going to head off and finish that, and I'll check in when I'm done. Hi everybody, and welcome back. All right, it is Sunday, and I didn't end up checking in late last night. It was cold. I just wanted to get into bed and just relax and finish off the books that I wanted to read. So it is Sunday morning. It is just after 8 o'clock, and we have another 12-hour sprint starting at 9 o'clock, and so I'll be trying to get some more reading done. Now, officially the readathon ends at 6 p.m. tonight, my time, but I'll be doing sprints until 9 o'clock, because I promised 12 hours of sprints, and those times work for me. Otherwise I would have had to get up super early, and it's just too darn cold in Kingaroy at the moment to do that, so I didn't bother. Alright, so you're probably wondering how I went with a Grim and a Barrett. Oh my god, this I think has to be my favourite one yet. I have loved all the books, absolutely adored them, but I think this one I've been waiting for Clara's story, because Clara is just this ray of sunshine that just brings hope and joy and all the warm and fuzzies to the supernaturals, and also to the reader as well. She's so bubbly. I just love her. And then we have Henry, who is grumpy as, and yeah, but you know, this story just played out so well, and you can see how it's been all wrapped up and everything like that in the epilogue. The whole series is wrapped up. As far as I'm aware, there are no other books coming out, because we've covered all the Savoir sisters. So yeah, so basically it's, you know, it has a happy ending. There's a little bit of a mystery in here as well about who murdered someone, and like there's just little bits and pieces happening and all that sort of stuff, but it was definitely tying up the series as well. So I absolutely loved it, and as predicted, I gave this 5 stars, because as I said, I was just waiting. And Henry is just so adorable. Like, he has a lot of trauma around his magic and stuff like that, so he has been very reluctant to use his magic, and Henry has the ability to go into the underworld, and this is a tiny little bit of a spoiler, but one of Clara's friends suddenly dies, and she didn't get to say goodbye to her, and Henry, as sweet as he was, used his magic with the help of Clara to get down into the underworld, to find her, to bring her back to the edge of humanity, so she could say goodbye to her and everything like that, and just say how much she appreciated her and all that sort of stuff. And this particular character was the catalyst for pushing Clara to make the first move on Henry, because he has been watching her from afar, and he has been very reluctant because he feels like he's too dark and all this sort of stuff. But it turns out that he's just the sweetest thing ever. He has a library, he's into books, he understands Clara, he's everything that you could want in a guy, and he's just a little bit broody. So yeah, absolutely wonderful story. I had a fabulous time of reading it, and I'm so glad that I have finished this series, and sad at the same time. I still have one book in the, I've got a short, what is it? It's Walking in a Witchy Wonderland, which I'm probably going to read at Christmas time, because it is Christmas stories around the Savoir sisters. So I believe there is a story for each sister. I'm not 100% sure on that, because I haven't read the synopsis. I don't want to know as I go into it, but it's a collection of short, an anthology basically, of the Savoir sisters, so we'll get a little bit more of them, and I just love these covers. Like these, they're all like this, they're all absolutely beautiful, and I'm so happy to have them on my shelf. But with commiserations, I have finished a series that I can take off my spreadsheet now. So yeah, and if I feel like it in the mood, I might pick the Witchy Wonderland up a little bit sooner, but I'm not too sure about that. All right, the next one that I read, I ended up reading 4 books yesterday. So I read 1 manga, I read 2 novellas, and a full-length novel. So that's not too bad. It equates to about 650 pages, I think it was, because that was 350, 550 with the manga and one of the novellas. Yeah, just around about 620 pages, because Unhinged was only 71 pages. So so that's not too bad for a day. And I did use audio for all of them, except for the manga. So yeah, so I used audio for them because I was doing stuff around the house. So today I can just chill out and relax and clean up my studio, which doesn't need a lot. And it's a bit messy. I honestly don't know what I've done in here, but it's messy because I haven't really done any craft this week. So, and I'm probably going to try and do a little bit of diamond painting today as well. I'll see how I go. I'm not feeling in a crafty mood. I'm just feeling like reading. So the next one that I read was called Twisted Truth by Megan Lee, I think her last name is. Now, I've been taste testing Megan Lee for a little while. She writes in the crime thriller genre, and she has several novellas that I've touched on base, and I think I've read one of her full-length novels back in May. I'm not 100% sure on that. I may have actually swapped it out for something. I can't remember. But there is actually 2 in this Rogue Justice series, and they're just 2 novellas. They're short stories. They're very quick, fast-paced, to the point. They're very well-rounded, and like I don't feel bored when I'm listening to them. It's just a quick, sharp crime thriller. We're focusing on one story. We're not worrying about all the other surrounding bits and pieces. And so I can't remember the name of the other one that I've read, and the other one was very I felt very similar with that as well. So I can recommend her crime thriller short stories, and for the life of me right now I cannot remember what the full-length novel is, and I have far too many books to go through to find that, so I'm not going to worry about it. If I should happen to remember while editing, I'll drop it in here, the name of it down below, or I'll put the link down below to it and you can go and check that out. I remember liking it though, like I remember liking her writing, and I also really like her short stories. Her novel was a little bit, you know, because I had read a short story and then I went into a novel, I remember it being, I think I like her short stories better. So there's that, but it still was it was still a great book. That's the feeling. I just can't remember the name of it. I'm hopeless, I know, right? But this one, Twisted Truth, this one was about, so we had Seth and we had Carly. They were husband and wife. We had Bruce, who was Carly's brother. Now, Carly is a child protection agency worker, but she deals with the high trauma kids. From what I can gather from her little bit of backstory that we got, she's always in the high trauma section of the department and whatnot. And we have Seth, who's a police officer, and Bruce is also a police officer as well. There's a couple of side characters in this. Her mum's in it, and there's another police officer that's in it that comes into it. And basically we meet Seth first of all when he's at a crime scene, and there is a murdered woman. Well, the woman is actually still alive, but she dies en route to the hospital, and the male murder victim died at the scene. And so basically they are at a loss of why these people have been shot and all that sort of stuff. They're trying to work it out. They don't look, they're living in the house, but they're not living in the house at the same time. So they're very transient, and then they find their ID and they're not even from the area. They're from Portland. Meanwhile, there is a storm brewing outside where there's supposed to be flooding rains. It's some sort of tropical cyclone type scenario. That's the only way I could have described it, because it didn't go into much detail, and it stalled over this small town. And basically, while they're at the crime scene, they heard something as they were, you know, checking around the outside at the perimeter of the house and over the fences and all that sort of stuff. They heard something down in the cellar, and so they've opened it up, and there was a young boy chained up in there. And that's when Carly's called in, and Carly is really on edge at the moment because she's had two very traumatic cases back to back, and she's just not really coping at the moment and all that sort of stuff. And Seth is reluctant to call her in because of that, because she is struggling with all that sort of stuff. And so basically he ends up subsequently calling her in, and she comes and gets the boy, and then someone she takes him to the hospital, and he's not talking, all this sort of stuff. So they're trying to figure out who this kid is, and then someone turns up, a fake doctor, and tries to kidnap him. They manage to save him, and then basically the story starts to unfold from there. So that happens all very quickly in the first 2 chapters. Okay, that's just setting the story up. So Carly makes the decision to take Liam, we find out that his name is Liam, to her family farm, and her family farm has been home for many foster kids over the years. Her father was chief police officer, I don't know what they call them over in the United States, but he was the head honcho of this particular town, and her mum was such a caring soul, had a farm, and the kids would go there and they'd heal through the animals and stuff like that. And so subsequently they start piecing the story together, and then they find out why Liam was tied up there, why you know, what happened in the backstory and all that sort of stuff. But it's so quick and fast paced that before you know it, you've read 174 pages, because that's how long that particular one was. And it's just a great book. Like I found it to be a great little novella. It was a nice sweet story to round out my day, and I'm looking forward to getting into the next one. So the covers are very similar, so I'm assuming that Carly and Seth are in that story as well. And yeah, there's all these sort of things that have happened in it, and it was really well done, as you know, with the backdrop of the storm, you know, cutting the town off and all that sort of stuff. So the bad guys were still there. Now, I love a small town criminal sort of thriller where Mother Nature plays a major role in it, and that's what happened in this particular book. So they were the 4 books that I read for Saturday. Of course, I'm, you know, reviewing them Sunday morning. And then after I finished that one, I actually started another one. It is called All the Little Raindrops. It is by Mia Sheridan, and this one is going to so the little novella I finished last night, that was for the prompt new to my KU list, because I added that on pretty late. I would think it was the last one that I added on, but I had this one on. I was in sprints, and I mean, you can't really see it, so I'll put up the color cover here, but it's called All the Little Raindrops, and it's by Mia Sheridan. Now, I've never read anything by this author before, but this one is a thriller so the prompt is a thriller with a female author. So I'm pretty excited to read this one. I did actually read the synopsis on this one, well, the first paragraph of the synopsis, and we've got 2 teenage kids that have been kidnapped and they're being held captive. So yeah, so there's that. So I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. I'll put that there for that prompt. So I started last night. Now I'm 5 chapters into this, and oh my god, the stuff is happening. So we have a character called the Collector. And we have the 2 teenagers that are kidnapped, and they're in captivity right now. They're in cages, basically, and they can't get out. They've been kept in the dark for days on end, so they don't know how long they've been there for. They've been fed bread and water and all that sort of stuff. And we've just, like, I think this is going to be a pretty intense book just from the first couple of chapters. So we have Nora, I think her name is. I'm probably wrong on that. I want to say Nora, but we have Nora, and then we have Eric, I think his name is. I could be wrong because names start to blur after a while, but yes, I'm pretty sure that it is. Let me just see if I can find their names pretty quickly. I love my Oasis because I can turn it around and have it how I want. Oh, Evan is his name. I don't know why I said Eric, but yeah. And okay, so I got their names completely wrong. It's Evan and Noelle. Okay, so the backstory for Noelle, they can't work out why they're there because Noelle doesn't come from money, but Evan does. So they would have thought that there would have been some sort of proof of life for him, but they can't work out why she's there. And so somehow they are connected. But anyway, that's the feeling you sort of get in the first couple of chapters. But the first 5 chapters that I've read, it has got straight into it. So we've got the opening scenes with Noelle, where she is in this cage. She doesn't know where she is. Someone opens up a door. She flinches away from the light and all the rest of it because she's been kept in the dark for quite some time and just been fed water and all that sort of stuff. And so she can't see to feel it. So she, reaches out to find them. She's knocked over water and ended up being dehydrated and all that sort of stuff. And then she starts to hear a noise next to her, and she works out that there's someone else there with her. And so basically she's then they've worked out that they know each other. They're from the same school, that he's been kidnapped from the gym. She was kidnapped on the way home from work. And then after we've met those two, then we get a chapter on the Collector. And the Collector is watching them. So basically he's watching how they're interacting with one another and all that sort of stuff. And it turns out that they are connected through her mother's murder. So his father shot her mother. So there's something going on around that, and that's all I really know at the moment. And that's the first 5 chapters, but it is pretty quick paced. It's got enough tension in it as well, so this is going to be pretty full on. And as I said, look, I will say one chapter that I've read where she has to make a choice, and it does involve her being raped. So this book might not be it doesn't go into great detail. It just tells you that's what's going to be happening. And then the Collector's watching. Okay, so there is that. So there's voyeurism, there's sexual assault, there's captivity, there's torture, there's threat of torture, and all that sort of stuff. So if that's not what you're into, this probably isn't a book for you. I'm here for it though. I'm really here for it. So I am going to continue reading this. This is another full-length novel. This has 360 pages, I think it has. 391 it has. So we've got 391 pages. I'm on page 21 right now, so that's how fast-paced it is. We're already on page 21, and yeah. We're up to chapter 5, so I'm just about to start chapter 5. So I've read 4 chapters. So yeah, and I think I have the distinct impression that I found this one. I cannot remember how I found it, whether it was watching a video or whether I heard someone was reading it in sprints, and I'm pretty sure it was someone reading it in sprints. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit full on. I will check in when I get to the halfway point and let you know what I think of it and how I feel about it and all that sort of stuff. I'm hoping to go down to Bunnings today because one of the prompts is to read a book outside. I'm hoping to go down to Bunnings. I've just got to check my my budget and see if I can swing it. I'm going to do a little bit of online searching first and see what sort of outdoor seating I can get, because I want to create this area out here for summer, because this side of the house doesn't get the hot sun and it stays quite shady out here, and I've got beautiful trees out here with the birds getting all that sort of stuff. And I'm thinking that, just at the bottom of the stairs here, there's a little bit of concrete, and one side of this of the door we don't use, even though it opens. I'm thinking maybe setting up a nice little chair there with a little table. I can sit out there in the summer, and even today, with a blanket, and just curl up and read a book, but be out in the fresh air rather than being cooped up in here all the time. I mean, not that I stay inside all the time. I do get out and about, but it'd be nice to be just reading a book outside with your morning cuppa and stuff like that in summer when it's a little bit cooler. Yeah, and see what I can get. So I'm going to do a bit of that today. And I've just got to clean up my studio. So this is going to be a perfect book to get into. I've got about 4 or 5 hours left, 4.5 hours left of the book, because I do have an audio with this. I think this actually comes with audio on Kindle Unlimited. So I love those books when that happens. Other than that, I can actually get all the audio books pretty cheaply. And, you know, with the amount of books I'm reading, I'm not overly concerned of paying $3 for an audiobook, because, you know, there might be a time when I'm on holidays and I just want a nice quick read or something like that, and I don't need to think about it too much. It's just someone telling me a story, you know. But by the time, like, I read Elevator Pitch just recently, and, you know, I only read that like a couple of years ago, and then I just read it for the Amazing Readathon, and I enjoyed it just as much, even though I knew that that's what was going to happen. So I'm pretty happy that I get all these audiobooks and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm going to head off and go and make myself a cup of tea. I'm going to have a herbal tea this morning. I'm thinking that I'm going to have a chai tea this morning, and a chai flavoured tea, and start my day off with that, and do a little bit of online looking for a chair and table set for outside. I want to get one that I can lay back in, and just a little side table. So we'll see what I can find at Bunnings. They've always got something for me. Anyway, have a great day, everybody, and I'll check in when I'm about at 50% of All the Little Raindrops. Talk to you soon. Hi, everybody, and welcome back. All right, I'm here to wrap up for All the Little Raindrops by Mia Sheridan. Now, I don't know what I was expecting when I went into this book, but this book was just messed up. Like, the things that were happening, like after I spoke to you a little bit earlier in the day with how the teenagers had been kidnapped and all that sort of stuff, it went even further than what I thought. Like, we had basically the triggers in this book are torture, sexual assault, kidnapping, captivity, mind games, all the things that you can think of that can go possibly wrong in a book. This has got it. I thoroughly enjoyed it though, because it didn't just stay in that moment. It actually spanned over a 7-8 year period, and from the initial kidnapping to the ultimate conclusion. And I don't know, I felt like that I may have known earlier on, but I just didn't see it until it was blatantly told to me. And then I thought, I did sort of have a bit of a thought by that, but I wasn't 100% sure. And so I wouldn't say it was predictable, not at all. Like, we're dealing with some really sick dudes, and they're rich, sick dudes. And there's probably also women involved in that as well, but it was definitely like saying that it was the men and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so basically we had Noelle and we had Evan were the main characters of it, and basically they were kidnapped at the beginning, and then you know, we had the collector. He was a creepy dude. He sort of was still in it a little bit, and then through the middle of the book he wasn't really in it that much, and then at the end of the book he come back into it again. And the narrator for that character had a really creepy voice. Like, it was very suited to the character and whatnot. And I sort of felt for like, I really felt sorry for Noelle and Evan being so young for something like that to happen, and then them having to navigate it, and they had that like trauma bond and whatnot. Now, there is a bit of a romance in this as well. So yeah, it has all the elements really. I don't know, I can't really talk about it, because if I do talk about it, I'm going to spoil it, and I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to talk about it too much. I'm just going to say to you that this is on Kindle Unlimited. It does come with audio, so you can listen to the audio with it. And I mean, I know not all countries have the audio with it, but you can here in Australia. It had the little icon beside it, and that happened. Sometimes we get it and sometimes we don't, and then you can go back to a book and it won't have it again, and whatnot. So it's sort of a bit of a pot luck, you know, luck of the draw sort of thing, whether you've gonna get it or not. So I was lucky enough to get the audio with it, so I've spent the day reading that. It is now nearly 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Basically, I've just read this all day and I've absolutely loved it. I did slow it down a little bit because there was a couple of accents in it. I probably would have been done with it maybe an hour and a half ago, but there was a couple of accents in it that were very thick, and so it made it a little bit more difficult. So I just slowed it down and left it at that. So it took me a little bit longer than what I anticipated, but it is another prompt off, and the prompt was for a female author thriller. that was written by a female author. So I've ticked that off, and so that only leaves me with 2 more squares because I've covered my mood read, I've covered all the rest, and so I've got a romantasy and also a book that I need to read outside. So it is getting late in the day. I'm about to go and sit out on the steps. I'm about to come back from a sprint, so as soon as that sprint's done, I'm going to sit out on the steps and I'm going to read a short book. It's only going to take me about 45 minutes to read it, so I'm going to make myself a cuppa, sit on the step and read that. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to Bunnings because when I did my research this morning, the stuff that I wanted to get was out of stock, and basically I gave them a call and they aren't getting a shipment for outdoor furniture until mid-August, so I'll have to wait for that. But at least now I have set up my account on there, I've made a list and all the things, but I did actually buy something for the library, so you will get to see that in the library vlogs and all that sort of stuff. It's part of the accessories and all that sort of stuff. So I didn't, and it was the same price of what I was going to spend on the outdoor furniture. So I thought, oh, well, I'll get that because it's actually going to be a really nifty little thing to have. And I was talking to Savannah about it, and she's like, that is really nifty. So we decided that we were going to get it. She also got the flybys for it. And the best part was I got it delivered to her place and it was free delivery. Whereas if I got it delivered to here, it was going to be nearly $100 delivery. So we got free delivery on it, which was great. So we only ended up paying $113 for it, for this little nifty thing. And you'll get, as I said, you'll get to see that in the library vlogs. I've got a few of those library vlogs coming because it's, you know, it's a process and whatnot. All right. So the next book that I'm going to be reading is another Vera Valentine smutty book, and it is called Squeak, and I believe it's to do with balloon animals. So I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'm going to read it. I don't want to know any more. I don't want to read the synopsis. I want to go into this. Neva has read it, and she said it was really good. She gave it 4 stars, so I'm expecting good things about that. And I also ended up buying the unhinged paperback to put on my shelf because I think Vera Valentine is a fantastic writer. So I am going to head off and do that. I'm going to sit down out the front and have my cup of tea and maybe a biscuit or 2. And actually, I don't think I will have any biscuits. I'm feeling a bit full after lunch. I'll just have a cup of tea and enjoy some time out in the fresh air listening to the evening birds, and then I'll come back and talk about Squeaked by Vera Valentine. Doing? What are you doing, baby? Hey? Come here. Come on. Sit up here. Sit over here. Sit over here. Hold it down. There you go. Right, sit down. Sit down. What's going on? Hey? You like that? Hey? Where's room start? Hi everybody and welcome back. Alright, it's Monday morning and I didn't check in after I finished up with sprints and everything yesterday, but I did read Squeak and it went really quick. It was because I listened to my books at 2 times speed, so I listened to that one and read along with it. I immersive read most of the weekend, which was really good. There's probably just a couple of books that I sort of walked away from for maybe an hour or something like that out of them, but for the most part I immersive read all weekend, which was absolutely fabulous. And as you just seen, I was reading that outside and Voodoo was playing along with me, which was absolutely fabulous. She came and played. I scared Brimstone away. When I opened the door, she ran under the house and wouldn't come back because she got a little bit scared. So she was at the back door and not playing with me. But Squeak was a really good book as well. So Vera Valentine for me has actually become an auto buy or auto read author. So I there's not really much to tell. There is a little bit of plot, as there was with Unhinged. It was just a fun time, and of course we had balloon animals, so to speak, for this. And yeah, it was a quick read. I think it was only 51 pages in the end, so it was a pretty quick read. And if I talk too much about it, I'm going to give it away. Just know it's a fun read. It's a good time. You know, you can't take these things too seriously. It was good to just break up the novels that I was reading with the short stories that I did over the weekend. So it's been a lot of fun doing that. And so I highly recommend Vera Valentine to read this author, especially if you're into smut and weird smut as well. So, you know, inanimate objects being shifters and all that sort of stuff. So it's quite a fun time. And I believe Neva sent me through a list, and I think that Neva and I are going to be reading all of Vera Valentine's back catalogue. So keep an eye out for those probably Patreon sprints and stuff like that. So keep an eye out on both of our channels. We'll definitely announce that when it's happening. And the next one that I went into was the Bound by Ravens, and this was a fae romantasy. This is the prompt that it was going to hit for. You can see the cover here. It's absolutely stunning, the cover. This was only a pretty short book as well. I would consider it a short book novella. Although it does have 270 pages in it, but for me, I read chunky books, and long series and stuff like that. So for me, it was a quick read. Now, this one I thought would the synopsis sound really good. We had, two rival groups, and we had a human, I believe she is. I think she is maybe part human. I can't remember that part. Anyway, I was tired by the end of the day, so I've probably missed a key, little points and stuff like that. But anyway, we had Tanner, and then we had Finn were the main ones. And basically, Finn had been a naughty fae and had done some things. And so the three sisters, which is generally referred to as the triple goddess, the crone bound Tanner and him together, and basically they couldn't go more than 15 feet apart, and if they did, they come back and snap back together, which meant that they could either get seriously hurt or die. So that was quite an interesting element, and they were bound together for 2 weeks, and subsequently, so it was a forced proximity romance, and the banter was really good, and the narrator, because this actually came with an audio as well, so the narrator, they were Irish accents, so basically it was a fun time reading it and all that sort of stuff. Now, I won't say that it was like a work of art or anything. For me, it was only a 3.75, so still a really good book. It just wasn't a 4 or 5 star read for me. And if it had been maybe a little bit longer, and we had a little bit more world building, and we knew more about the rival gangs and stuff like that, it probably would have put it up there. But overall, it was a good read, so 3.75 is not too bad. And again, I can't really talk much about it because it's a short book. So basically it's, you got pure story there. So anything that I talk about will actually, wreck the story for people. But just know there's good, I found it to have good banter, very much a Irish sense of humour in it. So it's witty, and we've got rival gangs, and not gangs, but rival thieves. And they've got to find these 3 things to get out of trouble with the crone, and also to be released from their denture and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's a few things that I'd like to talk about, but I'm not going to because it'll spoil it. But it is actually a pretty quick read. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I can see why this wouldn't be the cup of tea for other people, having a heavy accent on the audio and stuff like that, but as far as the writing goes, it was pretty good as well. So overall I was pretty happy and gave it a 3.75. So what does that mean that I achieved over the weekend? Well, over the weekend I managed to read 7 books. So 1 was a manga, 3 were considered novellas, and then the other 3 were actually full-length novels. I did have the audio with them. These days I seem to be just listening and immersive reading more and more. I just love reading that way. I get more out of the story. It helps me to take better notes. It helps me to be more articulate when I'm talking about the books and all that sort of stuff, because I'm a very busy person, and I do have a lot of things going on with work and all that sort of stuff. My mind starts to drift back to work when I'm just physically reading, so the immersive reading has actually been really helping. And for the most part, I've been able to find books on Libby and everything like that now that I'm on there, so it's been really good in that aspect. But this was for the KU and Kindle a mini mayhem 48-hour readathon. We had 12-hour sprints both Saturday and Sunday. We went a little bit overtime. We were supposed to finish up the readathon at 6 p.m. on the Sunday, but we had an extra 3 hours because we started on Friday and a few people from overseas were doing it, so we just extended it by 3 hours, and that's why I did 12 hours on both days. And again, we're going to be doing this again in September because this happens every second month. So if that's something that you're interested in, by all means, come on over and join the friend zone. And basically, if you join the friend zone, you'll be able to take part in that, and we have a Discord and all that sort of stuff as well that you can be a part of, and you can come and hang out with us. It was a really casual weekend. We got lots of reading done. A few people caught up on some of their Kindle books as well, and also other people just cruised and read whatever they wanted to read, which was okay as well. But it was nice, relaxed atmosphere. We got to chat a little bit more and all that sort of stuff. So as I said, if that's something that you're interested in, we are doing this every second month. The next one is in September. I don't have the dates as yet, but I will do that up on my community tab when we get a bit closer. But yeah, I had a fun time this weekend. And so for my stats and everything, the manga was a 2-star. Everything else was the Vera Valentine ones, they were both 4 stars, and then everything else I had a 5-star as well over the weekend, and we had a 4-star, I believe, for one of the novels. Yes, it was a 4-star for All the Little Raindrops, and yeah, and then we had a 3.75. So overall, a fantastic reading weekend, and I would love to see more of you come and join and all that sort of stuff. But of course, I understand if you can't, that's fine too. We have our public KU and Kindle Mayhem happening next May as well. All right, I'm going to head off and get ready for sprints. It's Monday morning, and I'm going to be hanging out with my lovely friend Coda. So make sure that you tune in every Monday for Southern Hemisphere, a Sunday for Northern Hemisphere, and I think it's early hours of the morning for over in Europe and stuff like that. But anyway, hopefully some of you can come and join. As always, I really do appreciate you watching my videos, and keep turning those pages, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.